Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
People in Alert Bay say they've been hearing strange screams and howls from the forest at night.
The first thing I saw were the eyes and what I thought maybe were teeth.
Welcome, everybody, once again to Reaping the Night, Tales of the Supernatural, right here on UndefinedRadio.com. With me, as always, Kevin Cruz. As you'll see on the video, it's Kevin Gaines.
Hey!
I'm still going to call you Kevin Cruz. It's just how it's going at this point.
That's just the way it is.
We got Jason Helms over here.
Good to see you, man.
And, of course, me, Chad Martin, your other host. We are back for another exciting show. Now, last week we had a lot of fun in here, lots of jokes and stuff going on. I mean, so this week's just going to take a little bit more of a serious tone because we're talking a little bit more serious subject than what we had last week. I mean, you can't get any more serious than people just coming up missing, vanishing out of nowhere, especially if it's a loved one and things like that.
Right.
Yeah. So we're going to get into that. We'll do that. But first, before we get into all the serious part of that, how you guys doing?
Good, man.
Good. Another day in paradise.
Hey, what do you mean last week wasn't serious to you guys?
Not really.
The living moon.
No, it wasn't that serious.
There's people on the moon.
Okay,
Oh, I know.
yeah. I read that story when I was an infant. Hey, diddle diddle, the cat in the field, whatever that is.
Hey, maybe that's where all the people are going to.
They might need to.
Have you thought
Maybe
about
they're
that?
missing into the moon. I just want to see the door. I
Dude,
mean, I got to go.
I showed it to
I
you.
want to see the door too because that to me is insane. Why anybody would want to live on the moon would choose
No.
to live.
But we don't know. See,
on the
in
moon.
Jason's mind, it's like a freaking paradise in there.
That's
you
right.
open this hole and you go in, you're like, oh my gosh, it's paradise.
Yeah.
It's
No,
like
it's not.
It's
Why
paradise.
why do you think that the Imperials in Star Wars were always so pissed off? They lived in a big
They lived
old
in a
round gray spaceship.
That's right.
No.
With very
Wrong.
subtle lighting. And it's terrible and it's awful.
They had
There's
to
no
wear plastic
there's no
suits.
palm trees growing
No.
on the moon or
No.
inside the moon
I think
or
it's
inside
more
the
like
crust of the moon.
I think it's more like Las Vegas. It's in the middle of a
There's
desert.
no Las Vegas on the moon.
It might be. It's just surrounded by
Oh, my
unending
God.
desert, and in the middle there's an oasis of this beautiful thing. That's what it's like.
And most of the time, an oasis is your imagination.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
You get up there, start wandering around the moon. Your imagination's going to do quite a lot. Because, dang. Well, from that serious subject, we are now on a real serious subject this
Ay,
week.
papi. That's all I can say is ay, papi.
No me digas.
Oh,
Ay, ay, ay.
chuba chuba. Well, I mean,
chuba.
whatever.
I don't know.
So I don't know what any of that means.
No.
Don't tell me.
Well, that's what's crazy. Me and Chad are from Texas. Texas
Texas.
born. Got a birth certificate to say Texas on it. State of Texas. Only thing I know in Spanish I learned at Taco Bueno.
Well, the only thing I learned I can't say on the air.
Yeah. Oh, I learned some really good stuff
That's
too.
right.
Yeah. And from Hispanic guys in Texas.
Look, one of my best friends when I was growing up, his name was Jaime Lopez was his name. And Jaime, we took in ninth grade, of course, you have to start taking your foreign language classes in
Right.
Texas. So we took Spanish 1.
Right.
We get in there and we start learning it. I was like, dude, this got to be easy for you. I don't know what the hell this is. We don't talk this way. This is not what we
Is this
speak.
Spanglish?
I was like, dude, really? He's like, no, man. I said, I can tell you what some of this is, but I don't know what they're talking about in here. We don't talk like this.
Oh, see this word, cerveza. Oh, you know that one?
Yeah.
I know that one, man.
That means Lone Star.
No, it's serious. People are losing their homes. Yeah, I lost my home.
Yeah, I lost my home.
Yeah, that's my Holmes.
All right. So, speaking of that, my daughter today, she'll be a freshman
Wow.
starting Monday.
Oh man.
So,
Yeah, she's homeschooled. That's one.
yeah, so she went through 7th and 8th
She's
grade this
moving
year.
on up.
Oh, dude, it's ridiculous. So today I'm like, well, we're going to cruise and take it easy this semester. She can just do the 9th grade this semester, and we'll do that. Call it a year. She's
Right.
done great.
Right.
You've done wonderful. I go in there, and she's like, and I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, well, I'm learning Latin. Here's some Latin stuff. And I figured out that on one of the shows that she watches the show called Supernatural, one of our favorite shows. So
Yeah.
she's like, they're saying Latin all wrong. Dean messes up so many phrases on there. He's not even pronouncing it. I'm like, when did you start learning that? And she said, this morning.
This morning.
What?
My name is Doogie Howser.
That's what I said. I'm like, good Lord. I know you don't get your intelligence from your mother.
Yeah.
And I said, no, it's not coming from me. So, what is going on here? Oh, it tripped me out so much.
Oh, my gosh.
So, yeah, a lot of cool things happening. Our videos will be up. The video of last week's show, The Living Moon, will be up this weekend on our YouTube channel. Go to Undefined Radio on YouTube. All you got to do is put it in the search bar. You'll see our channel. Subscribe to our channel. You can get all of our videos as they come up, because it's not just going to be Reaping the Night stuff. It's going to be all of our talk radio stuff that we have.
Cool. Good.
We've already got a couple of Camo and Ammo episodes up there.
Oh, wow.
The third one of it will be up hopefully this weekend as well. And then, now some of the shows we're not going to be able to put up there because they are music radio, music and talk, and because of copyright and stuff, we can't do the music part of it. But the shows that are going to be more talk oriented, we're gonna put up there, so you'll see that. See more cool stuff coming.
Right.
We are going to be cutting promo videos pretty soon, so you'll see some craziness when it comes to that. So we're going to have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We're going to have a lot of fun. And
It's
that's
gonna
the
be good.
goal for this year, is to have
Good
a lot
times
of fun. Oh,
had
man.
by all.
We're definitely going to do that. Now the good times are about to end.
Right.
Because about what we're about to talk about, this whole missing 411 thing, I knew nothing about this phenomenon until the other day when our mutual friend sent us this missing 411 clip.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is this?
There's a movie. Yeah, there's missing 411
Yeah, I
movie.
saw that earlier, that there's an actual movie. Something. Probably tonight I'll end up watching it and not going to bed. I end up watching that dang movie. But we're going to talk about that.
It's
because this will make you never want to go into a national forest again.
I mean, I was going to go to the Rocky Mountains, and it ain't happening.
We could have.
It's kind of like when I say I'm going to leave the country, I'm going to go on a trip. Not happening. I was going to go to Guatemala.
Yeah, awesome.
You know what?
Guatemala está bien, bueno.
I don't want to leave America. You know
No, not really.
I didn't want to leave Texas, but here
Well,
I am.
here you are.
Well, we love Guatemala.
so,
It's
all right.
scary. It's scary stuff.
dude, especially so I'm going to play this first clip for you. Kind of set the pace. These were news clips. I'll play these for you first.
Means millions of people will be heading for national parks and national forests. As it turns out, a few of them won't be coming back.
Each year, hundreds of people are reported missing in our parks and forests. Most are eventually found, but there's a smaller category of cases that never get solved.
People visit national parks each year, but you might not realize that a number of those people go missing.
Every year, hundreds of people are reported missing in national parks and forests, many of them children. And most are eventually found, whether dead or alive. But a small percentage of the cases, some right here in Oregon, are never solved. The mystery those cases present has one man wondering if there's a common denominator behind the disappearances that have search and rescue crews continuing to scratch their head.
Now, first of all, when you hear that on the news, you're going, okay, that's a little different that they're actually, you know, okay, bears and all this other stuff. You're going, all right, people wander off. There's all kinds of wild game out there, wild animals. You surprise a mama bear cub and a mama bear on her cub, and you're done. All right, game's over right there. And you're not outrunning it. Don't pretend you're going to outrun it or outclimb it. Just fall over.
Kind of like what Isaac had to outrun you at Arca Butler.
See, we could have been missing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you could have.
for sure.
But Arca Butler's not a national park.
No, it's not.
It's not.
That's where you want to go if you don't want to disappear. Go to Arca Butler. You'll be fine. You'll be found. But that's what's kind of crazy about those things right there. We know that disappearances happen all the time. Just like you heard in one of the news clips right there. We get it. We hear about people going into the mountains. They disappear, search groups, and they get lost. Because it is easy to get lost when you go on hikes, especially if you get off trail.
Right, yeah.
And it's not hard to get off trail. It's not hard to find an animal trail and think that isn't natural trail, and you start going down it. Then all of a sudden you're turned around.
Well, understand, those types of cases are normally solved. Like they said, whether found or dead or alive. The missing 411, these cases are never solved, and there is not one shred of evidence.
Yeah, and I'll play you something even weirder. Here's the second clip I want to play for you before we delve into this. Because what you'll hear on this one, it makes it even stranger. Take a listen.
At the end of the night, I was staying in a motel off the government or off the Park Service land, and I get a knock on the door.
The person who confided in law enforcement veteran David Paulides was a government employee who told one heck of a story about people who vanish in national parks, places like Yosemite, but also national forests, including the Toyabe, west of Las Vegas. The individual cases are strange enough, Paulides says, but stranger still were the reactions of federal agencies when he asked for public records.
And when we FOIA'd them, we got a response back that they don't keep any lists of missing people.
In many cases of kids, their parents' noses.
Being parents and being responsible people, we understand there's no way my son or daughter wouldn't know the way back from being just down the road getting the ball.
But it happens all the time.
It happens all the time.
The missing defy logic. They hike uphill, for instance, often steep climbs. Children as young as 2 or 3 are found a day or two later many miles away and over mountain ranges.
Some kids are found in phenomenal distances away that would make no logical sense to any parent.
Weird things happen to their clothing. The missing often shed their clothes right away, even in bad weather. Clothes are found sometimes neatly folded, but not the people.
The ranger described to me if you were standing straight up and you just had your shirt or just had your pants on and you melted directly into your pants, that's what it looked like to him.
Melted directly into your pants. How crazy is that? That in clothes that are found neatly folded, and all that. I mean,
that is.
I get the steep climbing, and sometimes, as a kid, I climbed anything that was high at the point. Now I won't climb a ladder, hardly.
Right.
So, but as a child, you have no fear, and I can see some of that. But finding clothes, those things
Especially
right there,
it's folded. I mean, even if you find the clothes and the person's totally gone.
Well,
really, what happened?
Just like this one case I was reading about or listening to. These people had a 3-year-old child. Now, I remember my kids were 3 years old. Okay, they couldn't do anything themselves, except mess up something.
Exactly.
Okay,
and they're not getting out of your sight.
Right. That's right.
Oh, not for anything.
Right, and and if they get lost or missing, they're 50 feet away. You know what I mean? So anyway, their son, he's 3 years old. He vanishes. They find him. I think it was 7 days later or something like 6 days later. 19 miles away.
Exactly.
How do you find a 3-year-old child 19 miles away?
Pete's Dragon.
Yeah.
That's how you do it.
Maybe.
That's the only way that's going to work right there. Or unless he's Mowgli. I mean, how does that work?
Well, this David Paulides, he's written several books, 4 or 5 books anyway, the Missing 411. And just like we listened to the clip, he talks about how he would go to these certain national parks. He went to this one. He went to a lodge, and he was there to study the case. And of course, there were two of the workers there, both of which had worked more than 20 years at different parks. They came to his lodge at night and knocked on the door. And when he opened the door, they were in their uniform. And he was thinking, "Oh man, they're fixing to get me, or fry me, or whatever." But to his amazement, they had read his books and they were there to share information. They said, "Man, you're right." They said, "We have. There's something really strange going on, and so there's so many cases of disappearing people. So many cases.
Well, the National Park Service, they have no records of missing persons.
That's exactly right.
They don't keep records of
I don't
that.
understand that.
I don't
really
either.
don't. You don't have a record of these missing people?
No.
And that's the thing. The national park, they actually have officers that are over these whole parks. And now these are federal officers. These aren't mall cops. Okay? These are federal Navy SEAL type officers. These guys are really, really trained at doing what they've done, doing the detective jobs. And they have no missing people list.
So you give them all the information. Yeah. Your son, daughter, uncle, grandfather, whatever goes missing. You give them the information. What do they do with it? Okay, we're going to get right on it.
That's right.
They check for a day and then they're done.
Listen, a list is as easy as a clipboard, and some photos, and you make your own list. They don't even have the most rudimentary list of people that vanished at their park.
Well, here's the thing too. They say, well, okay, that's for the law enforcement. Law enforcement handles that. They have the thing. Right. But if you go through the Freedom of Information Act, they stonewall you. You can't. They will not give you that information.
Again, the Freedom of Information Act has no problem giving you lists of missing people and this, of all of these cases.
Especially if there's no criminality involved.
No criminality, or the case is not ongoing. They got no problem giving you this. but not when it comes to these national parks.
That's right.
They won't give it. Finally, David Paulides, he's writing a book, and it costs money for these lists, right?
Sure.
But if you're an author, you have an exemption, author's exemption that they waive the fees for these lists, And so anyway, he files that, and anyway, he gets a call, and the guy calls him and says, "Mr. Paulides, we heard about you wanting this list and stuff," and he said, "The thing is, we do have the list, but we're not going to let you have it. It's going to cost you." He said, "No. Well, what about, I have the exemption. I'm an author." He said, "Well, sir, the thing is, you're not published in enough libraries, and so therefore you have to pay for the list." And he said, "Really? I've read through the Freedom of Information Act, the guidelines, that I've never seen that." "Well, sir, that's it. You're going to have to pay for it. And in fact, we have the list. Just for Yosemite, the list is going to cost you $34,000.
That's right.
And then for this, it's going to cost this and this and this. Anyway, it's going to cost you a total of $1.4 million.
Exactly.
And you can have these lists. They're all yours."
Yeah.
He was stonewalled.
That's right. Which is illegal, by the way.
Oh, it is illegal.
Come on,
It's
man.
illegal for the Freedom of Information Act for you to be asked why you want these.
That's why it's the freedom.
That's right.
Yeah, and that's what's crazy. Now, you want to talk about people like, okay, well, so you got some people missing, in Yellowstone or something like that.
Right.
Here's just a little list of all the locations that these people are missing in these national parks. You've got Yellowstone,
Right.
Yosemite, Crater Lake, Mount Rainier, Lake Tahoe. Lake Tahoe?
Good
I
Lord.
was thinking about vacationing in Lake
Yeah,
Tahoe.
Lake Tahoe's
Not
awesome.
anymore.
Not happening.
Travis Dewey Pinyon Pines, Sierra Nevadas, Sequoia Kings Canyon, Glacier National Park, Rocky Mountain National Park. We talked about that earlier. Adirondacks, Great Smoky Mountain National Park, Pinedale, Wyoming, McKean, Pennsylvania, Arkansas State Park,
Arkansas.
spelled with a W.
That's right.
And here's the thing. The state of Pennsylvania and Wyoming have the largest number of missing kids by far.
Oh, absolutely.
And they're not reported as abductions; they're just vanished.
And listen to this. This is what's startling. People are missing in clusters.
Yes.
So in other words, there will be a time when it's only boys. Then there will be a time when it's only girls. Then there will be a time when it's only old people. And that's the strangest thing, Why?
And they're like 35 cluster areas?
Yes.
I believe.
And
That's
guess
crazy.
what? Guess what is near every cluster? There's several reasons.
Starbucks.
Those damn hipsters.
No, a military base.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
There you go.
What are you saying? Wait a minute. Are you saying the military is abducting people?
Or some of the ships that are coming into that military base.
Yeah, what's this, Jason?
I'm not saying it's
God,
the living
he
moon.
wants the black van so
And we're on
bad to
video.
show up at his
And we're on
house.
video now.
Yes, we are. So they know what you look like.
I'm not saying it's the living moon, but it is the living moon.
Oh my goodness!
I'm
They're transporting the kids they take from the national forest up to the moon.
Yeah.
Hey, do you want to go to the living moon? Oh, the moon. I don't know. Come on.
Come on.
There's
Take
actual
your
people on the
clothes off.
moon. Want to see?
Leave your clothes right here.
Leave your clothes right
That's
here.
right.
We got you a little suit you got to put on.
That's the special suit.
Yeah.
It's a
Well,
moon suit.
Speaking of missing people, I watched a show on TV called Northwoods Law, but they were in Maine, and I followed it. A lady went missing. Her name was Geraldine Largay, and she went missing, and they searched for her for like 6 months, never found her.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then I was watching the show again. The next year, it had been about 2 years from then. 2 years they found her, but the search area where they found her, they had already searched that.
Yes.
And she says
That is a
in her
very
journal
common
she
denominator.
never left that one area. She said, I'm putting my roots down right here until somebody finds me. I'm too tired. I'm this. I'm that.
Right.
But she was 2 miles from the Appalachian Trail where she was following this trail, and she wasn't there. But then after 2 years, she all of a sudden shows up there.
Well, there's no way
Yeah.
she sat in one spot for 2 years.
Yeah. I
Well,
know
we
what it-
know that ain't happening.
No.
That is
No,
a
it's-
very common denominator on these
I know.
cases. There will be children missing, and they said they had more than 50 or 60 volunteers and firefighters and policemen that have combed this area every single day for 3 months. and then they find them there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's
you know.
I don't know.
Now look, there's a lot of things that you can strike out about some of the vanishing things. We know, like we know that drowning is the number one cause of death in national parks. It just is because of the bodies of water, the types of water that you fall into. So we get that. But the things that we're really talking about here, the ones that are the mysterious ones,
extremely,
are the ones that are just happening for no apparent reason. Like there was a girl who went with her father
and her uncle horseback riding.
Yes, you read the same one I did.
Yes, that was good.
Yeah, and then they picnicked, they were up the trail.
Right.
She wanted to go and take photographs. She was 14 years old.
That's right.
And then her uncle wanted to go with her. And then he got tired and stopped.
She was 300 feet, from them.
Yeah, the other guide saw her.
Right.
Up there, not 50 yards away.
Right.
And that was the last time anybody saw her.
That's right. She said, I'm going to take pictures. They said, okay. She goes straight down there. She's not gone, 20 minutes? And they call for her. There was no answer. He goes down there. There is no evidence. The only thing they find is the lens cap from her camera.
That's it.
Setting on a rock.
50 feet from, 300 feet. That's at the 50-yard line and you're in the infield.
That's right.
That's it.
And she's 14
you can
now.
see, come on now.
She's not 3 years old. She's 14 years old. They searched for 3 or 4 months and never found one shred of evidence. They brought dogs that can smell human remains.
Right.
They can smell human remains under the water.
Right.
Because it produces gas bubbles when it begins to deteriorate, and they smell that gas as it comes to the top of the surface. Never, ever found her. There are cases that are 50, 60 years old, and to this day there is not one shred of evidence what happened to the people.
Yeah, now, and look, there are some people who found, because, again, we know people can fall into holes.
Right.
And there are sinkholes. There are some people have been found in berry bushes, been found while they were eating berries, actually, from poisonous berries and having reactions to it. So we know crazy and wild things happen. So just once again, just to reiterate, those aren't the ones we're talking about, though.
That's right.
Those are not the fascinating ones.
No.
I mean, those are heartbreaking in that, people die. Because people wander away all the time. Look, there are about 1,000 ways you can die and get lost out in a national park. These things are massive.
Well, let me read you another one. This one is actually not a national park, but it is in a park type area. It was in Spokane, Washington, and this was fairly recent. This was January the 25th in 2015. This is 3 years ago. There was an ex-Marine colonel. Now, this guy was in excellent shape. He was a doctor. His name was John Markell. And so John Markell, every single morning at about 5 o'clock in the morning, he would run. He would run to this one place kind of out in this park area down beside this river. Every day he ran the same route. It was never anything changed. And so anyway, like I said, this guy was extremely good shape. He was an extremely good swimmer. Anyway, so they had him on camera at 5:33 running and leaving wherever he was getting, put his clothes on. They sent him running, and then he didn't show up to where he was supposed to go to work. And so they called him, and they said, "What have you heard from him?" And his wife said, "No, he hadn't." He's not at work? No, he's not at work. Oh, she got worried about him then, and so they called the police. They looked for him. They searched for him. They could not find him. They searched for him forever. There was not one shred of evidence. They searched the entire day, didn't find him. They found him the next day. There was a call that came in and said that someone found a body that was in the river. Now listen to this. It was below some rapids, okay, so it had almost went to setting right there, on some rocks. I had went through the water. And so they checked the body, and they said he went through the river, and he come down on the other side of the rapids. So there would be like plant material and stuff.
Or scrapes.
Nothing. No plant material. And listen to this. He had an iPod in his clothes, completely dry. Everything else was wet. The iPod was totally dry. And so they said there was no evidence of how the guy drowned. It wasn't a drowning, even though he is in the water dead.
So there's no water in his lungs.
No water in his lungs. And they said, we don't know how he died. And his wife said, this guy was like an Olympic swimmer or something. I mean, this guy could swim very well. And there was no cause of death. And listen to this. 99% of all people found dead, like out there, 99% of the men are found face down. And 99% of the women are found face up. Dead. And they have no explanation why. And so anyway, they found the body, and like I said, did he drown? They don't know how he drowned. This guy was a vet from Afghanistan. This guy was in extremely good shape, and it had been, they said he had been in the water. Listen to this. Forensic scientists said he had been in the water for 27 hours. But yet the iPod was dry and there was nothing.
And no water in his lungs.
They said,
and
that's
his
right.
body wasn't deteriorating yet.
And
it starts breaking down in water.
And there are dozens of cases exactly like his.
Wow. And the iPod stayed dry.
Dry.
Apple's got a hell of a commercial
Well,
on their
they
hands.
said that he was placed there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There you go. All right, we've got to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, more Missing 411 right here on Undefined Lunch. Undefined Lunch. Dude,
I love it.
This tells you exactly how much radio I do every day.
Chad, when was the last time you slept?
What year is it? 2018, you said, huh?
This is Undefined Radio.
How about
Reaping the Night?
Reaping the Night. Tales of the Supernatural right here on UndefinedRadio.com. Welcome back to Reaping the Night.
That's right.
UndefinedRadio.com.
Thanks for the clarification.
Dude, I have to at this point. I'm delirious. Maybe it's the rum I have in my drink here.
Hey now.
Could be the one of those. Who knows? It's been a long day. All right, so we were talking during the break about some of these things on there. And, we were talking about, one of the things that, I really do feel this way, we were talking about close encounters.
Right.
About how you felt that maybe some of that could be the reason. I mean, we've talked about alien abduction a lot on these programs.
Alien abduction happens, and it is a real thing.
That's right.
It is.
And could there be some of that? Do I think? Sure, absolutely. I mean, I believe in it, so I have a hard time saying no. But when you're talking about Dave Politis, and here's one of the things, for those of you out there who are listening, you'll do the research on it, just like we did. And one of the things that'll raise your eyebrows is this. He's a big-time Bigfoot researcher. He is. Okay. I mean, he does. He goes on all the Bigfoot hunts, Sasquatch expeditions, all that good stuff. And look, I love the whole Bigfoot thing. I mean, that would be cool one day if we could actually prove that. But I feel that this is where he gets stonewalled a lot. So when you hear some of his names, then it's easy for a debunker to go, okay, this nut out here is, he's also hunting for Bigfoot. So you're going to tell us that Bigfoot took all these people out there.
Right.
And, but, it's funny because that's not what he says.
No.
He never says that, well, I know it's Bigfoot out there taking all these people and abducting them, taking off their clothes and running naked with them through the brush.
So Bigfoot is, he's taking their clothes off and folding them?
Yeah.
Yeah, really.
Bigfoot is a great folder.
He is an awesome folder.
He's awesome.
I mean, and not only that, think about it. There's not blood, no hair, no torn clothes, nothing. No tracks, no tracks, like human tracks or whatever he is, nothing.
Yeah, that's right. So it's fascinating to me how that works and how just what is really going on out here. Like I said, look, there's a lot of things you can explain. You can explain through natural phenomena. You can explain, I mean, just by nature itself, by the wild animals. I mean, you can explain a lot of stuff like that. But it's the ones that you can't explain, that have no explanation.
No explanation.
Right.
Those are the ones that really get you. Even if it's, 1% of all of them that way, that's still 1% that is wildly, you just have no idea what's going on with it.
I had a couple of different ones, it's not from the 401, but it is from missing people. Missing people. This is not a new thing. People have been missing for a long time.
There's a lot of unexplained disappearances.
Sure.
So let's talk about a few of those.
Yeah, one of them was kind of one of the first ones that kind of brings the missing 401 kind of the idea. Was back in the 1800s, there was a 5-year-old girl. Her and her father both worked on a farm. And, of course, they went every day, together, farming and whatever. So she was only 5 years old, but she was, very, she knew the land perfectly. So anyway, one day she decided to go to the farm from the farmhouse. And it was just right down, like, a few hundred yards away, like she's done hundreds of times before. So her dad says, that's fine, So she goes to the farm. Anyway, he never sees her. And he starts calling for her, and, she never returns. And so they went looking for her, and they didn't find her, Anyway, some supposedly some hunters are kind of coming back from the hunt, and they see the girl, but they see this huge creature that kind of looked like a dog, but it was bipedal. You know, it would look more like a person. It was a humanoid. Anyway, of course, the girl wasn't hurt, but this supposed thing, they call it the Goat Man, you know, had taken her off, but he didn't hurt her. Anyway, she said that the Dog Man. She said she thought it was a dog. Of course, it was bipedal.
Yeah.
And of course, again, she's 5 years old. That's the best that she could say, that it was a dog.
Sure.
Person, And
werewolves.
So, it could have been werewolves. What was it? I mean, it really happened.
I mean, that's what's kind
She
of cool
didn't
about
make
it.
it up,
I mean, that's freaky too. And the fact that it didn't kill her was good, which kind of leads me to believe it's more witchcrafty stuff like that, because witchcraft is known to do that.
Well,
and didn't kill them after they take them away, but
I'm going to tell you guys a story. And my granddad was a minister, and he to the day he died, he would tell you this is the truth. He was born in 1923, so during the Depression, he was about 12 years old. And of course, they said that if it wasn't for the cat, they would have starved to death that drug up rabbits and stuff that they would eat. But
thanks, cat.
Yeah. Well, anyway, he said one day they had some neighbors that had moved away, and they went to stay with more relatives that had more means of living. And so anyway, they had chickens and things, and so he went out in the woods looking for any of their chickens that they had left over. So he saw a rooster, and anyway, it just seemed so strange to him. So anyway, he shot at it, and when he did, he said it turned into a black cat. He said
the rooster did.
Yes. He said, Jason, I promise you, it turned into a black cat. He said, and the more I shot it, the bigger it got. He said it scared him so bad. Finally, he went back, and it didn't follow him. It kept going the other way.
That's one pissed off rooster.
Some of them berries. Was he eating some of them berries out there?
What did that cat drag up?
Well,
those shrooms are bad.
it could be what they call the skinwalkers. Remember that?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Native American lore is full of skinwalkers.
Which is a person that turns into an animal.
That's right.
Or a something that turns into an animal, So anyway, what was it? I mean, when you think about missing people, I read a story a while back, and this is true. And of course, this is not like someone kidnapped, but it's still pretty weird. This guy, his wife, they weren't fighting, nothing. Everything was great. But she said, I'm going to the store, blah, blah, blah. She left. She was gone. She never came back. 20 years went by. There was no evidence of where she went. They had no idea what happened to her. He comes home one day, and he hears somebody in the kitchen. He goes in there, and his wife is back after 20 years. Anyway, according to the story, he didn't harp on, where have you been? They just went up, picked up kind of where they left off and began living together. Anyway, she stayed about 4 or 5 months, and then she was gone again, never to be seen from again.
See, this is where I would call BS on all of that.
That's right.
So, because you're not going to stay gone 20 years, first of all. She'll back up in my kitchen making breakfast,
Wait a minute.
and then everything's just cool.
Wait a minute. If she still looked like she did 20 years when she left, that's why he let her stay.
Well, it depends on what she looked like.
Hey, now.
That's right.
I mean, come on. It depends on what she looked
Now,
like.
if you come back 20 years later and look like you've been red hard and put up wet, no, you got to go.
What I want to know is, did that 20 years before when she left, did you end up getting a new milkman in the process?
Yeah, that's something.
All right, so because there's no way. I'll tell you what happened. She ran off with somebody 20 years later. He passes away. She comes home, makes breakfast. Everything's cool for 4 or 5 months. She meets somebody else. Boom, she's gone again.
Sure. Again, that's a possibility. But the thing is, it wasn't like they were fighting, and they loved each other. Everything was great. She just vanishes, and there was never anything said about where she had been.
See, they loved each other according to him.
Garth Brooks has a song called that. It's called Papa Love Mama, Mama Love Men.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
Now, Mama's in the graveyard.
Yeah, Papa's in the pen.
There you go.
Hey, now.
Maybe that's what it was.
I mean, but on this, what's his name? Pauly, what's his name?
Politis.
Yeah, Politis. I
Mike
can't pronounce
Politis,
it.
yeah.
But he says, is it death by falling, animal attack, exposure to the elements or illness? But where there were some stories that they defied simple explanation. People seemingly vanished into thin air, where there 1 minute they were there, next minute they were gone. But then it says other stories involve tracking dogs that were brought in that either couldn't or wouldn't
That's
hunt for the missing.
Right.
It's just like
Not going.
Yeah.
not going over
That's
there.
right. One guy said he had something was wrong with the car, And they had problems with this car. Anyway, his wife got out to just, I don't know what she was going to push the car or something. Anyway.
Very gentlemanly.
I like her. Look, boy, hey, look, darling, I know how to steer a little bit better than you.
That's
You
right.
Get back here and
That's right.
I'll have to steer it.
put them hips into it.
Well, look, maybe it was a 5-speed. She didn't know how to dump the clutch. I don't know. But anyway, this is true. She was behind the car for 20 seconds. He turns around. She was gone, never to be seen again.
It's like, this son of a bitch gonna make me push this car. Bye.
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 I'm jumping in the first Volkswagen Beetle that comes by.
That's right. See that gremlin coming up there?
Yeah.
I'm in it and I'm gone.
In it. I'm gone.
Man, I mean, honestly,
That is strange.
Isn't that strange?
Yeah.
You know, but there's more. And I wanted to get on a few more famous disappearances if we could tonight. One I thought was pretty good, and we're gonna go back to one of my favorites. One is a guy named Louis Le Prince. Now, Louis Le Prince was one of the greatest inventors of all time.
Right.
But you guys have never heard of him, right?
Nope, I never heard of him.
He is actually the founder of cinematography. This guy vanished mysteriously. I mean, this guy vanished out of thin air. Understand, he had invented the first 16 lens camera where he filmed a movie on paper film. Okay?
That's interesting.
Paper film. This is in 1888. Anyway,
Sounds like a good round number.
he decide. Oh man, this thing is amazing. This film, you know. Anyway, so he decides he's going to go visit his brother in Paris, France. He gets on a train. You know, his baggage, everything is on the train. Up on arrival to Paris, the train stops. He's gone. He's not on the train. His luggage is gone, and he was never ever found. Nothing was ever heard of him again. Anyway, just a year or two later, Thomas Edison, was given the patent for the first movie camera.
Thomas Edison's a murderer.
I bet you he was.
Listen,
I wonder how many other patents Thomas Edison had where people come up missing.
Honestly,
yeah, that's a whole nother show.
Thomas Edison is very famous. Get to studying it of doing
thievery.
Yes, thieving of all of his really scientist helpers doing all the work and him getting all the credit for it.
Yeah,
Dang right, boy.
So what happened to Le Prince? We don't know.
There you go.
Oh, Tesla.
Yeah.
Oh,
Tesla was one of those.
Yes.
Got screwed over by Edison.
Yep. Edison was
That's
a
tough.
shrewd man.
Edison's a murderer.
Yeah, he is, dude.
He took Pepe Le Pew's stuff and he wasn't having none of that.
Yeah.
There's probably a film of it. It's on paper.
Yeah, really.
Somewhere.
The murderer.
Yeah.
But the thing is, he got on the train. Okay, I don't know about you. A train can't take like a dirt road or nothing.
Oh, no.
I mean, you know.
You ain't leaving that train but one or two ways.
That's right. Oh no, I seen some people that make a train take a dirt road.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, I dated one, so
Yeah.
I understand
Chad
that.
woke up with her. He looked over. I told him, I said, Chad, I called him and I said, look over to your right. And he's like,
Oh, my God.
Call the cops for dealing with the wildebeest.
That's right. Exactly.
hey now.
No, well anyway, you know, so this guy's gone. You know, let's think of another one. And this was one of my favorite ones. D.B. Cooper.
Oh,
D.B.
yeah,
Cooper.
love it. I love
D.B.
it.
Cooper, man. Of
Yeah.
course, this was not the guy's real name.
No.
No. They don't know what his name
They don't know
was.
what his name was.
There was a good show about that. Talking about
man.
the D and the B
Yes.
and where it came from.
That's
and
right.
Well, they tried
They
putting
tried
so
to
many
break it
different
down.
clues together,
Yeah.
but nobody.
Well, listen,
they
this
still
This guy's
can't.
brilliant, man.
Brilliant.
How he jumped out like that.
November
Come on, man.
24th of 1971. Okay, he had hijacked a flight, you know, and where he was Portland, Oregon, I think is where he was. He was flying. Not sure where he was flying, but when he was on the plane, he's sitting in the back of the plane. Of course, he pays for a drink. The stewardess comes back, pays for a drink, and anyway, he has a briefcase. He gives her a note, and the note says, "I have a bomb." And he shows her the bomb.
Right.
And he says, "I'm fixing to blow up everybody and every one of
But he was super polite.
Oh,
Yes,
yes.
so he was.
Now, he had black shades on. He was well dressed with a really gloves, a very nice suit. And he said he had a couple of demands. He said, I want us to land the plane. When we land the plane, I want to go to Mexico City.
Yep, they got everybody off the plane.
But I want the money
Except for the crew.
I
gotta have the money.
I have to have $200,000 in money, which was incidentally, that's a lot of money back then. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And 2 parachutes. Okay, I don't know why 2, but
one for the money.
Yeah,
one for him.
Anyway, the money weighed 21 pounds.
You have to have a parachute.
You know,
I've already thought about this.
He jumps. Anyway,
For when Kevin does it.
Listen, he's flying toward Mexico City. Of course, I think he gets around somewhere in Washington. Actually, you know,
it's wooded there.
Yeah,
big.
He jumped out in hellacious conditions.
Well, the thing is, not only that, it was freezing cold, but he tells the flight crew that they had to stay on the plane. The passengers were allowed to leave. He told everyone in them, go to the cockpit. Okay, they go to the cockpit, shut the door. Do not open the door, or I'm gonna fix and blow this plane up. I'm not kidding. I'll do it. You know.
Right.
So anyway, they go up there, and they see that the
rear
landing gear.
Yeah, the landing. The
landing
stairwell that goes out the back.
Stairwell thing opened up, and when it opened up, they immediately came out, and when they did, he was gone, but he was never found.
But what is awesome about him, whoever he is, he studied that. I mean, they showed how he had to study it, of how that door can only be open, say, quarter of the way, and that's all he did to keep the plane. He said, fly the plane at this altitude,
10,000 feet.
Yeah, you can't go above that.
Right.
And he lowered that just a certain amount, and then gone.
Yeah.
Like a virgin on prom night.
Which is insane.
And he was never found. And to this day, did you know that the case is still open?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there was a stack of money that had been found.
Yeah, on the beach. Wasn't it on the beach?
Well, on
they know they took pictures of each one of the bills so that they knew what the numbers and stuff were on it. But they never found any of it, did they?
Yeah, they did. They
found
a stack a while back.
But they think he did that. They think he staged that.
Yeah.
It's a great story.
They found all the money or something?
No.
Just like a stack.
Just a stack. Big stack.
They dug it up. Some kid dug it up in the snow.
Yeah, just happened to see it on the side bank of the lake.
Actually, they found it all, but the kid said they only have found the stack.
See, when I heard that, that's exactly what I was thinking too.
You began to use your brain, didn't you?
Yeah, I started using it.
I know what Kevin Cruz would do.
Yeah, I know. I'm dang right, boy.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have to take another break. When we come back, more to go on 411 Missing right here on Reaping the Night Tales of the Supernatural on UndefinedRadio.com. And welcome back to Reaping the Night Tales of the Supernatural. Maybe that's where D.B. Cooper went, to the moon.
He did.
Yeah, no other place to go. Let's go to the inside of the moon. I've always wanted to see it anyway.
It's awesome.
Let's go there.
You guys just wait and see. When
one of these
SpaceX takes trips up there, there's going to be D.B. Cooper towers up there.
Man, SpaceX is worried about Mars. They ain't worried about the moon anymore.
Who cares about
Mars
when you got Las Vegas on the moon?
Because Las Vegas on the moon is all gray and boring. You can go to the red planet where all the hot triple-breasted horrors from Eroticon 6 are. You watch Total Recall. They'll tell you.
That's on the surface, but underneath this,
Las paradise.
Yeah, Luna, Las Vegas.
Luna, Las Vegas.
Yeah. Well, anyway,
paradise.
one more.
Scarface says it's paradise.
One more person I want to talk about tonight, if we can get to it really quickly, is Amelia Earhart.
Yeah.
Oh,
Amelia Earhart.
I love her.
First woman to fly the Atlantic Ocean, at all. Okay, the first woman, and also she set so many world speed records. In 1937, she was the first woman to fly across the Pacific Ocean.
Yep.
And of course she had Fred Newman that was her co-pilot or whatever. So anyway, on the last voyage, her and Fred are going to fly across the Pacific Ocean again, or maybe it's the first time, I think. Anyway, they were going to go from New Guinea to Howell Island is where they were going to refuel. Howell Island was just, 200 and something miles, 200 miles off the coast of Hawaii, and so it wasn't very far. So they take off, and anyway, they were never heard from again. I mean, never. But I was watching a show one time, and it was there was one transmission. Back in the day, all they had was shortwave radio.
Yeah.
Right.
We talked a few weeks ago about number stations.
Right.
The shortwave radio goes worldwide.
Yeah.
So anyway, this girl is in Tampa Bay, Florida, and she's listening to world music on a shortwave radio. She sits in the living room. And of course, it was in the 1937. So
kind of like Undefined Radio now.
Right. Exactly. So it was really exciting. And what she would do is she would write down the name of the song and the artist that she could pick up. It was in French or Italian or Chinese or whatever. So she would do the best she could, and she would try to research it. It's just something that she liked to do. She was a young girl, about maybe 13. So anyway, she intercepted a transmission, and the person was saying, "Mayday, Mayday, I need help. We have crashed, da 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 da." Amelia Earhart. She picked it up. I mean, it was a real transmission, and it came in faintly, but she heard it clearly, and she wrote every bit of it down. And you can research that.
Well, they think they found the island
They
to
do
where
think
they ended
that they
up.
found it. Yes,
So
I've seen that.
They can't quite prove it, but they do believe now that
that's
it's probably the one where they
found,
ended up at.
They found on the coral there was a hole, and they said, "What?" It was a perfect like square type hole, elongated. And we're like, what caused that? It was something unnatural, and they deemed that that's where the landing gear hit and dug into it. Anyway, they found remains of little fish, like you were scavenging, like little fish.
Yeah. They found human remains.
They didn't found too many human remains. They found a few bones, but they found a button. Every single thing that was on the plane, everything was written down on a ledger, down to the type of clothing they were wearing. Anyway, they found the button that came from the very pants that the co-pilot Fred Newman was wearing. They found a knife that Amelia had, that they know that was the type of knife that she had. They found some other like little piece of comb or something that they know was hers, or they thought was like the one she had.
Yep.
And that's about it.
Yeah, interesting. It's always be a fascinating story.
It is.
Let's talk about.
And she's supposed to be direct descendant of me.
Yeah,
that's
right.
And that's interesting.
Yeah,
that's right. I'm supposed to be part of her family. So by my grandmother. That was my grandmother's maiden name.
Earhart.
Yeah, Earhart. Yeah.
Wow.
And
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
though.
my uncle traced it back, and we are a direct descendant of her. So
Well,
That's awesome,
Kind of
yeah.
weird fact. She hated her freckles. She hated them, and she had this freckle cream that she took with her everywhere, including to that flight across the
Oh,
Pacific.
jeez.
Yeah.
Poor girl.
Yeah.
she received the Distinguished Flying Cross also.
Oh, I
for
didn't know
that
she
flight.
was. Oh,
Right.
okay.
Yep, which is awesome.
Yep.
Too bad she didn't get to see it, but
Right,
that's awesome.
she didn't get to see that cross. They gave it to her.
They
but
said
it-
that
She wasn't
when
there.
they thought that they received a transmission. They did receive some transmission. Hey, that they did, but they said that they think that he was hurt. Something had happened that he got hurt, like on the crash landing or whatever.
Oh, I'm sure.
So,
It
yeah.
wasn't going to be a pretty one. All right, to finish up the show tonight, 411 missing. Let's go back to the National Forest. You had something you pulled up there about the 6.
No.
We want to talk about that real quick. Yeah, I know.
6 reasons not to
go to the national parks.
Yeah.
That's what
There
we
we go.
So let's end it with this.
6 reasons never
6 reasons
to visit a national park.
Here it is. 6 reasons never to visit, never ever visit a national park. Reason number 1: 3 people disappeared in the Smoky Mountain mystery from the 50s to the 80s.
That's awesome.
Number 2: disappearance of Jared Negrete.
Negrete.
And where is he at? San Bernardino National Forest.
Wow.
Another place not to go.
That's right.
The Cowden family massacre.
Oh yeah, now that was an entire
Dude.
family of like a dad and 3 daughters and like a son and a wife.
Holy
It was,
And that's in pronounce that Siskiyou Mountains.
yeah. Siskiyou Mountains.
So the death of Valley Germans, and this is in 1996. Went missing in Death Valley.
Oh.
Death Valley. Who wants to go?
Why
Dude,
do you go there? Of
something's
all
gonna
the
happen
things
in
you can
Death Valley.
see, and of all the places you can go and see, why
Yeah.
is that one that you choose and go, you know what I want to do?
You know it's the hottest
I
place.
want to go to a place called Death Valley.
Always
where
wanted
it
to
gets
go
to be
there.
189 degrees.
In the shade.
Let's go check it out.
But what you don't understand, that's a dry heat.
Yeah.
That's not
Yeah,
like in
that's that
Memphis
good.
over
That's
here
right.
up in North
Where
Mississippi.
it's all humid.
Yeah, it's a humid.
Look, I
here.
love heat, but it actually has been recorded, I think, 130 degrees there.
Well, that's what I'm saying. When you get to 130, it might as well be 230.
That's right.
It's just, you're not going to live in that. Why do that? See, some people, though, belong with a Darwin Award attached to their epitaph. I mean, they just do.
Kids, we're going on vacation. We're going to Disney World. We're going to Death Valley.
We're going to Death Valley. We're going to go out in the desert where it's 130 degrees in the shade. It's going to be awesome. We're not going to bring a whole lot of water, but we're going to go out and have a real good time.
Yeah, then you got the disappearance of Keith Reinhardt in the Arapaho National Forest. That's number 5. And number 6, vanish in the Adirondacks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The Adirondack
You know, there's a
Mountains,
lot of them in the
man.
Adirondacks that vanish. And like we were talking about, if you,
It's because that's all them shiners up there. You don't go up there and mess around them stills, dude.
I mean,
Man,
well,
ginsengers.
Yeah.
Ginsengers,
That's right.
boy.
that's right.
You gotta be
Man.
careful of what you messing around
Man, you're
with.
getting my ginseng, boy. You're disappearing.
But really, let's think about this, dude. Somebody is right there. Okay, like this one family, their son went ahead of them. Okay, he went in front of them, just a few yards in front of them, going up a hill. Now, vanished. Never seen him again.
Damn, mountain lion done got him some chow.
Never
Snatch and
trace.
run.
Never
Nothing.
know.
Yeah.
Snatch
Yeah.
it
Took
and
him down to
run.
the den.
But
yeah.
think about
That's
happened.
it right there.
But think about
that has
that.
been known to happen.
Yeah.
Especially small kids.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Oh, buddy.
Well, okay,
Yeah.
I can understand that. But there would be some form of blood, of screaming, of something.
Pounce, snatch you on the back of the neck,
He
your
was-
paralyzed drag gone by.
He was 30 seconds in front of them.
It don't take
30
much.
seconds.
Think about these animals out there skulking. But that's what I mean, though. There's some things like that have been known to happen that we know happened.
Right.
But then that doesn't mean that's what happened.
That's right.
That's easy for a skeptic to come
in-
up there
in
and
the-
say, hey, probably a mountain
Right.
lion,
Okay.
something like that. Big
And that's
large
what they
cat.
want you to believe. That's what they
wolf
want you to
coated.
believe. They want you to
Exactly.
say, oh, it's an animal, it's a mountain lion,
right.
it's just whatever. But
Okay, but let's look at the evidence. Folded clothes, or either missing clothes when they find them, they do find them, the people, and then you're turned down and stonewalled every single time you go in to look at the case.
I'm voting on polite Bigfoot. That's my vote.
Okay.
No.
Polite Bigfoot.
Well, I mean,
or the alien, green
Extra-
alien people
yes.
underneath
Extra,
the
that's what I'm
cage.
saying.
Hey,
Extraterrestrial.
go, look up the 411 thing, and you'll see all the dots, and right there at the dots,
Baboon.
military bases.
A military base.
All right, but why? See, but why would anybody take off the clothes and fold them?
They need people on the
Why?
moon.
But why fold their clothes
I don't
out
know.
of there? Why not take them with you and then fold clothes later if you just have to fold them?
Right. Well, maybe they don't want to take. It's kind of like taking. When they take these people, they don't want to take their clothes with them. They're going to give them suits.
But fold them.
Well, no,
Take the time to fold clothes.
or
Some aliens are very polite.
I
no,
guess.
or maybe they don't want the dogs to track them.
That's right.
They take the clothes up with the clothes there to fool the dogs.
Okay,
and then,
but folding. Folding takes time and effort.
That's
I
right.
mean, that don't make any sense.
So we run into just nothingness every time we look at it.
That's
Right.
crazy
I
to
know
me.
it. Or Stonewall. Bam, bam.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, because there are things that make absolutely zero sense.
With technology today, I don't understand why there's not a list everywhere. I mean, there should be something that's saying, okay, these 18,000 people right here are missing in national parks right now.
Yeah, there's no reason for
From
it.
the 30s until today.
Unless you're hiding something, why not?
Something
say
hiding.
it?
There's something is.
Yep.
I mean, that's just how it is.
I'm going to leave with that.
There you go. All right,
hiding.
ladies and gentlemen, we are out of time for this week. Next week.
Oh, is next week the big week?
Next week is the big
Is
week.
it going to be a 2-hour show?
Yeah, it might need to be. It's 911.
Yeah, 911.
The 911 conspiracy next
Ooh, I gotta
Friday.
get my George Bush shirt out.
live. That's right, right here on Reaping the Night Tales of the Supernatural. For Kevin, for Jason, this is Chad. Be sure you tune in next week.
Yeah.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.